we can't go down this road, right, and basically say it's too hard monetarily. I mean, we can't get that answer, right?
We most certainly can, Rich Eisen. I think it would be devastating. I think it would be indicative of some sort of rot inside of the sport that maybe the people don't recognize, but that is obviously there. If they can't, not just at any moment, come to terms on a financial agreement, but in the middle of a pandemic, when tens of millions of people have lost their jobs, when there are lines at food banks, and when there are people who can't make mortgage payments, if you're going to lose baseball season because you can't figure out how to split up a few $1 billion, you deserve everything that is coming your way. And I think the everything in Major League Baseball's case here would be the rebellion of a fan base that for years has looked past 1994 and said, we forgive you for your mistakes so long as you learn from them. And this would be a lesson that would show they didn't really learn from them.
Well, there's got to be enough smart people in the room. The commissioner's a smart man. Tony Clark. There must be enough smart people. Boris too.
It's very funny. It's very funny you say that, because when I talk with people on both sides, I say to them, "Who's going to be the adult in the room? Like, who's going to be the person who says, it's like Ted Turner in the, back in the '70s." And I think it was the 70s, might have been early 80s, but uttered a very famous line. I think it was printed for the first time in John Hellier's seminal book on labor relations, Lords of the Realm. Ted Turner said to his group of fellow owners, "Gentlemen, we have the only legal monopoly in America, and we're effing it up." And I would look at all of the owners right now, and I would look at all of the players and say, "Gentlemen, you have the ability to have a legal monopoly on the entire sporting landscape in America. Do not F it up."
Well, and then in that regard too, what if? And I would certainly sit there and think this if I'm on either side in that respect, and hopefully that we don't talk about sides, but we will talk about a sport coming together and then figuring out the remarkably difficult challenge of playing in a pandemic. And we'll get to that again in a second with you, Jeff Passan, ESPN senior MLB insider. That what if they decide to throw their hands up and then basketball comes back and then football comes back, and then all of a sudden they're the only ones that couldn't figure it out because of money, and everybody else does. I mean, I would sit there and think that would just absolutely crush. That would be certainly, since the commissioner says $4 billion goes out the window if they don't play at all. Right. So
and that is, listen, these are all great points. They're all very obvious to me and to you. I think it's harder for people who are billionaires, not that I feel sorry for them by any means that they're losing money right now because they're billionaires. I think it's harder for them to stomach this. And I don't know. I look at baseball, Rich, if it loses a season to money, and just have a really difficult time seeing a path forward to prosperity. And I think that owners have to, as the people who tend to be in the game for even longer than the players, owners have to recognize this and have to recognize that no season this year is a bad thing. No season this year because of money is just a self-inflicted wound.
Hey, you watched all the way to the end. Thanks for that. Watch more right here.